Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. So today is going to be the last radio show of the year. So, we've done a good many of these, had a lot of very good guests on here. So, today is just going to be us teachers. So, it's going to be me, which I'm Jeremy, and we also have...
I'm Justin, hello.
And me too.
Alright, so today what we're going to do, we're going to talk about 2011, so our memories from 2011 because it's almost over. So New Year's is this coming weekend, so then we'll be starting 2012. So we're going to talk about things that happened in 2011. But first, what we're going to do, we're going to listen to a song that I have chosen. This band is called Further Seems Forever, and the song is called How to Start a Fire. Alright, so again, that was the band Further Seems Forever with the song How to Start a Fire. So, what we're going to do, we're going to start talking about 2011. So some big stuff happened in 2011. A lot of...
That is big title.
Yeah. A lot of dictators are not around anymore.
Bin Laden and
Yeah.
Kim Jong-il.
Kim Jong-il, Gaddafi.
Gaddafi,
Yeah. So that's a lot of, not so great people in the world. They're not around anymore. So that was something big that happened, and also lots of people wanting change, like a lot of Middle Eastern countries, like in Egypt and all them, having all the changing their governments, wanting to, and that's still happening in Syria and stuff like that. And then,
I'm just a little bit concerned about what's happening in the Middle East area.
well, it's things that need to be happening because the government is basically treating the people so badly.
Well, what seems as a form of very, very calm and peaceful society is a oppressive control that we see. And what Jeremy was talking about, what happened in Egypt, that was breaking a 30-year plus, control, and that needed to happen. So I'm pretty glad to see that, but at the same time, when people take control, usually they take control over overcoming in riots and things, and it looks very violent and very chaotic.
Yes,
but those things need to happen if the higher powers aren't willing to help out.
But most of the violence is being from the governments in those places, not the actual people protesting. So
all kinds of chaos and struggles are based on the religion, right?
This is not on religion. It's basically on making them more equal and not been treated well. Because they don't have a lot of freedom there, so that's kind of what they want.
Actually, I haven't known that many things about those areas in the...
Because they're very closed off. You don't have a lot of things coming out of there because it's very closed off and because of the way their government is. So everything has to be like they want it. Everything is very strict. So, and on the same lines of protests, then we've also had the Occupy protests around the world.
Yeah.
So they started in America.
Still happening?
And not as much, but still a little bit. I think they're not reported as much.
Around the world, right?
Yeah. So there was actually a few in Seoul.
Yes.
And then all over the world. They're still happening a little bit, but they're just not reporting on it as much. So you don't hear about it that much. I think there's still people in New York and stuff like that, but...
And who is supporting that group? Nobody, right?
Well, it's just an organized group of people who want change. Yeah, it's just a group that wants change in the government. And all of this is mainly, I think, in my opinion, has started because of the economies and the whole world going down. So people want things to change. And I know the Occupy movement was all about taking away some wealth from the richest people because like 1% of the world's population controls most of the wealth in the world. So that's what it's mainly about.
Yeah, and I think a lot of celebrities were spearheading some of those organizations too.
Oh, really?
Well, those are the people who actually had the camera spotlight on them. For the people who recognize the Occupy Wall Street movements and who joined in. So that
Is there anybody
really
who's your friends or your acquaintances are joining them?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
A couple of my friends went to one of the ones in Atlanta, but they just went to one of them. They don't actively do it all the time. So, and knowing the type of person she is, that's the type of person she is, and she's very opinionated. So I figured that was probably going to happen. So it's interesting to actually know someone who goes out to it.
As far as DC, I'm sure some of my friends have, especially the ones who work there now. But my immediate family and my close friends in Virginia, I don't think any of them have visited or have been part of a movement with Occupy Wall Street. The thing is with that is you really have to be up and out, and you have to literally make your voice heard for this type of movement to be to move. It's not just an online thing or sending a message or an email.
You have to take part in.
It's you have to. It's sort of like what they used to do decades ago. But this is a result of people being, like you said, fed up and want change. The distribution of wealth in the way it should be is not how it's
completely messed up.
Is there any similar activity, the social activity, big social activity like Occupy Wall Street before?
Yeah, there've been a lot over, especially the history in America. The biggest ones probably in history were a lot of, there's two. There's the women's right to vote, like the women would go out and protest and try to get their right to vote, and then also like a lot of the marches with like Martin Luther King and wanting to have equal rights and all this. Those are the two biggest ones I can think of.
60s and 70s, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's 60s and 70s in America were big about protests. A lot of people did it. It's that's when a lot of the big protest movements happened. So
I think at those times, Americans are respected, the most respected by poor people.
Yeah, probably. They're probably at the height of their power. We were at the height of our power then. I think the way America's viewed now is we're more so, they don't like that there's someone like that that's been in power for so long. But and America's put down a lot in a lot of places, and that's going to happen if you're kind of at that level. And
being one of the superpowers.
Because if America does something, then people hate it. If America doesn't do something, then people hate it. So it's kind of, if you have that spotlight on you, no matter what you do, someone's not going to.
So I think because both of you are Americans, I want to ask you some personal questions. It's not personal question though. I mean, do you think China is the kind of rivalry country of America sooner or later?
Well, when it comes to people and getting things done in productivity, China is definite competition. But as far as China, being America's protege, or going ahead of America as a superpower, I don't think that's going to happen in the distant future.
Especially with the type of government they have, they can't be very creative. They can't do any of that stuff. Like America's still like one of the creative giants in the world, because you're able to do whatever you want. It's to a certain point. It's
but still,
much more open.
I think when I look over the news, top 10 news on New York Times, every week, China is top ranked like 2 or 3. That means Americans are very much interested in China's going on.
It's kind of like America was with Russia during the Cold War era. It's kind of being cautious and seeing what's going on. You don't want to be caught off guard.
But technically, China is not a communist country.
Technically, but policy-wise, it is.
It's it's opening.
It's opening. It's opening the least amount it can to look. It's wanting to look like it isn't to the world, but like if you talk to anyone who's been there, you can tell that there's still a lot of oppression and not wanting to do stuff. So if they open up, then it would be more possible.
Yeah.
But if you look at a lot of their business and productivity, they're basically doing stuff for American businesses or businesses around the world. They're not making their own things. Their companies are making other people's stuff. So, like even if you compare them to Korea, see, Korea went from a producer like that of other people's goods to having Samsung, which is one of the giants in electronics. So they do a lot of their own stuff. They make new things all the time, but you don't see that in China. So if China comes around to that, then it might be an issue.
Which country are you thinking about the next superpower country? Or equally?
It would have, to me, for a while it looked like it was going to be the European Union, but now the European Union is kind of crashing. So you can't really ever say like what's going to happen. I know China might be on the same level as the U.S. I don't think either one's going to go over top of each other. I think they'll probably stay about the same, because it'll be the same thing with the way Russia and America were at one point. They're going to be kind of competing with each other and maybe not be the best of friends, but they're going to be kind of competing. Some parts of the world are going to agree with China, some parts of the world will agree with the U.S.
It's like a level of dependency on each country, so it keeps things on an even keel overall, I think.
Yeah, but I think if you look at it now, the most powerful is kind of between America and the European Union and China right behind, because the European Union has more power because they have so many different countries, so they get a lot of votes.
It's not one country though.
No, it's not one country, but it's a group of countries. So
many countries in European Union, many countries' economy is really, like you said, is going down
bad,
very badly.
They're having a big crisis right now. So if that stays, then that's kind of off the table.
So that probably answer your question. But since not to switch topics so soon, but since we have a Korean here with us, I wanted to know, what was your initial reaction when you heard of Kim Jong-il's passing? What was your initial reaction?
Well, I was not surprised at all.
Oh, wow. Why?
It's strange. I don't know, because many people outside of Korean Peninsula are even worried about our situation, north and south. But as far as I'm concerned, as a matter of fact, living as a South Korean person, I'm not always worried or thinking about North Korea. And so when I heard about his death, of course I was, shocked. But it didn't last that long, and maybe I think my age people don't know many things about Korean war or about Korean people. They're still people, many old people, elderly people in their 70, 80 people. Their hope or their best wishes is to visit their hometown in North Korea, before they go die.
Yeah.
But to me, it's kind of very, I don't feel very closeness, to the North Korea. So I think the younger generation feel much worse, like North Korea is another country, something like that. That's a big concern though. Yeah, so nowadays on many news on TV, they're talking about a lot of things about North Korea and his death or his sons,
Yeah, that was big global news.
Yeah, it's big global news, but day and night and every day, for over 1 week and no news, I think it's too much. Why?
Yeah, because every time I walk by a TV with the news on since it happened, it's been that. It's kind of, it's interesting. We've never.
So maybe a kind of North Korean or the the son is making any kind of clever strategy against South Korea, but we never know. We're just guessing, or the experts are just
Yeah, it's good. It's being from America and living here. Like when I first heard it, it was more being cautious because it's kind of being prepared. Like okay, something might happen, but knowing that it probably won't.
Yeah.
But you still have to prepare yourself to if the worst happens.
Yes. So every once in a while, my friends, Australian friends who's living in Australia, they're just mailing me like, yes, are you okay?
Yeah. See,
so something's gonna happen. So are you safe or something? So when I read that kind of mail or people's response, I think it's funny.
Yeah,
I think it's funny.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
Because CNN, well, I don't want to say too many news stations were reporting.
That's the most common one.
The most common news station, they sort of distort what's really happening. So let's say in the news you might see an Ajumma carrying cardboard boxes on a rickshaw, interviewing her about the news of North Korea and how it has oppressed her as a woman. Jeremy and I, knowing that is not the daily lives of most Koreans here in South Korea. So it's funny in the sense that we know that the daily life here has gone undisturbed, but it's not funny in the sense that every other country is believing what is being seen on CNN.
Yeah, like whenever they had the attack at the Yongkan Island attack, my mom went crazy. She was like, "Oh, what's happening?"
So in that case, I was worried too.
Yeah, and I was more worried then than I was with hearing
because they killed, murdered, innocent civilians.
Speaking of murdering innocent civilians, in Georgia this year there was an African American man named Troy Davis. And this is big news in America. He was accused, I believe, of killing an officer back in '87, I believe, back in the late '80s.
I'm not actually sure. I didn't really follow it. I saw the backlash of it.
This is basically the vibe of America when this man was killed was basically this man was innocent, but they killed him, and there was a woman that they were comparing his case to. Her name was Casey Anthony, and they accused her of killing her daughter, which was 2, and she got off free.
She's free now, right?
Yeah, she's free, and Troy Davis is dead. So that was big news in America. It took place in Georgia.
That's where I'm from, so it's kind of looks bad for me.
Yeah, it doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for America.
No,
it's not.
No.
So that shook us.
She's totally free?
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, she has a $1 million book deal to write about her story.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
Yes, it is
really disgusting. That's the right word to describe it.
Well, it's about time to go, so I know we have a lot more we could say, but I'm going to throw it over to Justin to let him introduce his song, and then we'll close out after that.
All right, well, this song that I chose, if I can take a gander at my iPod. The song is called Hey Stranger from the group Number One Gun. So this song is
Adieu 2011.
Yes. So thank you for all listening in on our radio show. We had a pleasure. I had a pleasure talking about different topics with May, Jeremy, and different guests.
Yeah, it was great. So we had a very good semester of doing this. So it was good having all of you on here, who you're on here, and I'm sure that, well, I can tell you that we all enjoyed it, and I'm hoping you all did as well. So I know you got to hear some different music, some stuff you don't normally hear, and you got to hear what some of the students of this school thought, as well as the teachers that you have every day. So I'm glad you got to listen to this, and we're happy to do it for you. And enjoy next year and 2012. And Happy New Year, guys.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.